Hey everybody, Whitney Labrie here, and this week it's all about fair food. I don't know about you, but when I go to the fair, I don't go for the rides. Smides, I go for the food. I want it covered in cheese, I want it smothered with chocolate, I want it fried, I want it with sprinkles. There is that walk of shame back to the car. But hey, it's only once a year, and it's worth it. So today we're gonna make some delicious fair foods. So let's get started. So today's project is really going to be fun, and I'll be using a lot of the same materials that I used in making the Zoltar machine. In fact, I was going to do all of this in one video, but then at the end of the day, I thought the Zoltar needed his own video, so we're going to move on. So this cube that you see here, I am actually going to be making a super pretzel machine. I'll be using a combination today of regular size popsicle sticks and also stir sticks, and I'll be putting the popsicle sticks at the top and then using the stir sticks for the side and also the base. Today I'll be using my black acrylic paint, and I'll also be using this other acrylic paint called Harvest Orange. Now, one of the things to remember, again, same with the Zoltar machine, is that I need to paint both sides of the trim because you will be able to see both sides. You can see here that I've gone ahead and glued all my trim directly to the cube. I did use the same glue that I used in my last project, which is called the Ultimate, which is one of my favorite multi-purpose glues. And if you notice that my top trim, I did not glue it even with the top of the cube. I just pushed it up just a little bit higher. This will make the machine look a little bit taller, but it will also give me room to add a little marquee and then a center marquee as well. It will hide the base a little bit too. Speaking of marquees and signage, these are my super pretzel signs that I just printed off the internet, and I'm going to go ahead and glue them directly on some thick cardstock and then cut them out and add them to my machine. And yes, I'm already loving this little machine here. I will need to paint and kind of sand that little top pretzel to make it a little bit more even, and also hide that I used cardstock. But other than that, I'm already kind of digging this little pretzel machine. I think it looks freaking cute. Also, I'm craving pretzels. So there you go. Now these toothpicks that you see here in this bag, I'm going to use those to hang the little pretzels off of inside the machine. So what I'm going to do is just paint them in this silver metallic finish. Of course, I'm using my trash foam to hold them in place while I paint them. And then I made like way too many. I'm only going to need like 3 or 4 of these, but anyway, it's better to have too many than too few, I guess. And then what I'm going to use as well is this little boba straw that I cut down, this red and white striped boba straw, and I'm going to take these little toothpicks and poke them through so that they can be seen up on both sides so that I can hang my pretzels on them. Then I'm going to take my small X-Acto knife and cut small holes into my little boba straw, and then cut the tips off the toothpicks and back them up against each other so that the pointy part is sticking out, and those of course will be my little hooks for my pretzels to hang off of. So to make the pretzel, I am going to be using some polymer clay, and in this case I just chose a cream color to start with, and I have rolled it out to a nice thin little snake. And then to make the pretzel part, I'm going to kind of wrap it up, do a little twist, and then pull the polymer clay down. And I did have to practice that a few times. I made a few of my pretzels kind of on the ugly side, but that's okay. And then of course, remember, we are making super pretzels and not the small little ones that you would buy in a bag. So these can be, of course, a little bit bigger. And then you can see here that I'm going to use my toothpick to kind of help shape the pretzel a little bit and just make sure that it stays the correct shape. Now I made several of these for the idea to be that on each hook there's at least 2 pretzels, and my plan will be ugly ones to the back, pretty ones to the front. Alright, now that they're all baked, I'm going to use a combination of brown, burnt umber, and a terracotta in my pastels. And I'm going to go ahead and brush on a little of this color and give them a more of a baked pretzel look. And once the pretzels are all golden brown, it's time to add a little salt. So what I'm going to use today is my liquid polymer clay in clear, and then this very fine sand. And I'm just going to do a layer of the polymer clay and then go ahead and sprinkle on the sand and then pop them back in the oven for a few more minutes. It's really hard to see the salt on camera, but believe me, it's there. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to each one of my little toothpicks and then go ahead and place my pretzels on the little posts. Again, my not so perfect ones to the back and my nicer ones to the front. All right, perfect. And then we'll take a look at the finished product at the end of the video. In the meantime, let's go ahead and move on to funnel cakes and cotton candy. Now for the funnel cakes and the cotton candy, what I really want to do is make it look like one of those really cool, brightly oversigned counters that you do see at the fair. And you can see here that I have a much longer cube that I'm going to be using for this project. I'm going to be laying this on the side, and so what I need to do is build a little stand for it, and the way I'm going to do that is by just using some of my leftover foam board, and I'm just going to measure it out and cut it down to the right size. And then you can see here that I just need a front, two sides, and then I will put in a center support piece to the center, to the interior center portion as well. Now for the trim, I'm going to be doing the same thing that you've seen before, which is just using some popsicle sticks and a combination of stir sticks for the outside. But then I found, actually I was given these really fun, colorful popsicle sticks that are smaller, and I'm going to cut those down also. But I like the top with the little U shape at the top, so I'm going to keep that. I'm not going to cut that part off. I think that's going to add a little bit of fun to the project, and I just really love how it turned out. And then of course I'm going to add some trim to the bottom here to kind of give it that finished look. All the trim for this counter I'm going to just do in white, and then once I've completed that, if I feel like I need to add a little bit more color to it, I will do so, but I think we're going to have enough color. We'll see. All right, and then you can see here that I've added the top trim in all white, the colored trim for the base, a little white trim for the bottom to clean it up a little bit. And then on the sides, I'm going to need to cover the black base completely. So I actually have another piece of cardstock I'll be putting over that, but that's what I'm using to cover it, and on the inside as well. And then I printed off the internet these real signs that I found from the fair, and of course shrunk them down. Now I'm not going to add these to cardstock because I almost want them to look like they were either painted on or that they were glued on, like a real counter that you would see at the fair. And so that's what I'm going to do on the front. And then I'm going to add a few to the back also, just to add some more bright colors and crazy signs to the back. And then you can see here, this is kind of what this looks like. And of course you can see that one side's funnel cake, one side's cotton candy. We're going to do a 2-for-1 on this one. Now to make the cotton candy, it's actually a really simple process. All you're going to do is take cotton balls and then whatever colors that you want from your color dye. These are food dyes here. And then I made them just like I would do vintage Easter eggs. So I just took a cup of water. One small dot of food coloring is really all you need. And then I dipped it in, squeezed out the water over the sink, dipped it in again, squeezed out the water, just depending on how vibrant or how bright you want your colors. And then I set them out on a paper towel to dry all night long. And then in the morning, I kind of fluffed them up, and then I tossed them in the dryer for about 10 minutes. And then this is what you get, these big fluffy pieces. Now I really only needed to do one of each color, so I have plenty left over, and just keep that in mind because a little goes a long way. Now for the cotton candy cones, all I'm going to do is simply take a white piece of paper here, and I'm going to draw a whole bunch of different fun designs, some dots, some lines, some squiggle lines, and all sorts of different colors. And you can see I'm not even having to do very big amounts, just a little bit here, a little bit there. And then all I'm going to do now is just cut out that in a square and then roll them so that I get a cone shape. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of my white glue and glue them and then I have little cones. And then I'm setting them in this little bobbin here, this little sewing bobbin. This thing is amazing for a cotton candy holder, for ice cream cone holder. So if you ever come across those, grab them. Of course, you can still buy them, but I tend to like to buy that sort of stuff at the garage sales. All right, so now that the cones are done and the cotton tops are done, I did cut out a piece of cardstock, and I'm just gonna slide it in as the base to this counter. And I'm just gonna glue everything down. That way, if I need to make any changes, I can easily slide out the cardstock, make changes, and put everything back in versus trying to reach around pieces that are already glued in and probably, my luck, knock them over or break it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and make the cotton candy maker. This is actually the half and half creamer top, and I'm just going to paint it in my metallic silver. And then this is the lid to, I think, one of my old lip glosses or something, and I'm just going to glue those together, and then that's going to be my cotton candy making bowl. So now I'm going to take a little bit of my pink cotton candy and just take a little bit off, glue that to the sides of my cotton candy making bowl so it looks like the sugar is being spun. And then once that's all glued, I'm going to take one of my little cotton candy cones and also glue that inside the center. So it looks like it's cotton candy in the process of being made. And then I'll do that with my other little cones as well. I'm just going to take little bits of my cotton balls and the color and then just add them to my cotton candy cones. And then place those in the bobbin so it will look like pre-made cotton candy is already ready to be purchased. I did add a little bit of the cotton to the base of the spinner. I thought it looked a little bit boring, and I thought it'd be more fun if there was like remnants of other cotton candies in different colors kind of on the base of it. So that would make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting. And so that's what that looks like. And then just FYI, I'm not going to glue the top counter to the base counter. And the reason is because I need to be able to remove that again to make any changes on the inside of the counter later on. So it just sits inside. All right, now it's time to make some funnel cake. Now basically funnel cake is just fried dough. So I'm going to use the same color cream polymer clay that I use for my pretzels, and I'm just rolling it out really thinly and then just doing like a crisscross pattern. Actually back and forth and then up and down is kind of what I'm doing, and I'm using my toothpick here to kind of make it look like that. And you can get really crazy with these because I'm going to put a whole bunch of like a fruit topping and a cream on top and then make it look like they're covered in powdered sugar. And so this is kind of what it's going to look like. And I'm sorry that I put that way too close to the camera and it's super blurry. So here you go. These are all my little funnel cakes right here. All right, and then using basically the same colors that I did for the pretzels, I'm using dark browns, terracotta, burnt umber, and I'm gonna go ahead and chalk dust those little funnel cakes until they look nice and golden brown as though they've been fried. And then for the toppings, what I did was I took my clear polymer clay, my clear liquid polymer clay, and I'm going to be mixing it with some bright red polymer clay, some raspberry colored polymer clay, some chocolate colored polymer clay, and then a whole bunch of my white polymer clay. And those I'm going to make as my fruit toppings. And then I also did roll a tiny little red and a tiny little raspberry just to add as though a little cherry on top type of a thing. So once those are all really nice and mixed up, I am going to just go for it here. And I'm going to do some with strawberry, some with raspberry, some with chocolate. And then I'm also using that white to highlight the funnel cake all around it to make it look like it's covered in powdered sugar. And I think they look pretty delicious. Actually, this really did make me crave some serious funnel cake. And then once they're all nice and baked, and I should say that I baked them, then I added the toppings, then I baked them for a little bit longer. So I did it in two baking steps. Now I glued them to a little piece of trash foam that I cut at an angle so we could really see them inside the glass. And then there you go. There's our funnel cakes. All right, and then now we can put all this with our Zoltar machine. Now we've got a couple more fun items for our fair. And I don't know if I'll be making any more fair items. I might. I've had a couple really great suggestions from different viewers. I know Dorothy had mentioned a great idea, and so did Stephanie Haney. And so anyway, I'm kind of considering doing a couple more of these cube videos with other really fun fair type machines and counters. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing, go ahead and comment below and let me know if you want me to do another one. I feel like I did 2 cube videos in a row, and so I don't know, you might be tired of that. But anyway, just let me know in the comments what you think. And then let me know what you think of this. Again, is this something that you would like to make in the future? Is it something that you've done before? I really did enjoy making this. I wouldn't mind making more myself. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, you guys. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, of course, and I will see you next time. Bye.